Hey, Tim. This is Danny Smith. Just calling to tell you how much I appreciate listening to your show, Truckers Voices. It's very informative. I really like hearing the drivers' stories, how they got into the trucking industry, and maybe what kind of trucks they started out with. And it's just been a lot of fun, and I would encourage any drivers out there to tune in and listen, call in, be a part of it. It's a great show.
Hey, this is Chuck Lopesiger, and I listen to Truckers' Voices every Thursday evening from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern on Facebook or YouTube with host Tim Taylor and co-host Steve Brand, because it keeps me informed about the industry and the drivers that keep our country moving forward. Don't forget, Thursday, 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern. Be there.
Hi, this is Scott Post, and I love Truckers' Voices because there's always something entertaining and educational for our industry. And it's also hosted by two of my good friends, Tim Taylor and Steve Brad. Tune in tonight. And in the meantime, be safe out there.
Hey everybody, how you doing tonight? My name's Charlie Demchuk, and I'm here to welcome you to tonight's big show. Y'all sit back, relax, enjoy the show. Tim and Steve got a good one in store for you. So have a good night. We'll see you.
Hi, this is Tony Wainwright. I hope you enjoy listening to Truckers' Voices as much as I do. Now, without any further ado, kick back, kick your shoes off, air your corns out, and get ready to listen to another fine show.
Well, good Thursday afternoon, everybody. I hope everybody's doing good. I hope you're doing better than we are. We are still fighting these old technical problems here on Facebook and, everything that we got going on here. It's been a real challenge here lately to get on the air, and we're going to get this thing figured out, and we're going to get it where it's just, humming along like a good old sewing machine here in the near future. The third party streaming platform we're using and Facebook, they made some changes, so it's not as easy to get online as it used to be. And so we're kind of fighting that right now. But right now, I know that we're on Truckers Voices TV over here on Facebook, and we're also over on YouTube on Truckers Voices TV also. So if y'all could just tell everybody where we're at, and we would appreciate it. So I hope everybody had a great day of trucking today. I hope that everything that you did went well, and I hope that you had a safe day today. Now, I'm not flying solo tonight. I have got my co-host back with me. He is back off of assignment, and he's going to come in here tonight, and he's going to help me co-host the show. We got two great guests waiting in the wings, and we want to hear from Mark and Kathy Spencer, and we want to hear, their story about, the trucking industry, how they got into the trucking industry, what they do with the TDC, just a myriad of things that we're going to talk about tonight. So y'all just going to have to sit back, relax, and then and enjoy this show. So, it's been a while, and we haven't seen this mug in a while. So let's go ahead and bring old Steve in here, and we'll give his theme song here just for a minute. Let's get his theme song going before we bring him in here, okay?
They rolling, they hating, patrolling and trying to catch me riding dirty, trying to catch me riding dirty, trying to catch me riding dirty, trying to catch me riding.
Steve,
that's right, baby, riding dirty. Hey, good to be back with y'all, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So
this weekend I was on a microphone. It just wasn't this microphone. I was up there emceeing that Ohio TDC, man. That was cool.
I hear you. Well, it's always good to be behind the microphone, MCing here, MCing there. It don't matter where it's at. I kind of poked fun at you last week a little bit because you wasn't here. I don't know if you
I
caught the
seen
show or
that.
not.
I seen that, and I was throwing Cheetos at the telephone when I was watching it, and I'm like, man, listen to him dogging on me like that.
I was dogging on you. There's not a microphone that you don't like.
That's right, baby. That's right. Well, we ain't gonna kill too much time because we got two great people in the room there ready to come on, tell their story.
We do, Steve. We do. Hey,
Awesome.
Steve, can you do me a favor? Can you go over there on your phone and go to Truckers Voices TV, or go to my profile and share it to the groups. If you don't mind sharing it to the Safety Drive group and the Truckers Voices group.
Okay, let me see if
I was trying to share it from the computer here a while ago and wouldn't let me share it. But if you can share it, it'll go live on those two groups.
Okay, share the group.
Mm-hmm.
We need to go, if I can find it, Safety Drive.
So while you're doing that, Steve, I'm going to go ahead and give a little tease about what the Ohio TDC is all about. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to share a video from 2019, okay?
What group is that, Safety Drive, and what was the other one?
The Truckers Voices, the regular group.
Tenfold.
All right. I'm going to share my screen, and we'll just go from there, okay?
Sounds good, man.
Wells Fargo has provided
Maybe after I skip
$5.6
this ad
million
right here. How
to
about
help
that?
launch financial health
There we go.
You always got to
and
watch
funded
that,
over
right?
$107 million to scholarships and programming for diverse communities. Wells Fargo, the bank
All
of
right,
doing.
coming right up, listening to all this. There it is.
Oh, done froze up. Oh, we're having all kinds of technical issues tonight.
What a great weekend. What a great weekend. At the Ohio TDC, you had an awesome written test. We had a pre-trip. We had a driving course. We had 6 problems. Our very first problem was a backing problem. They had the truck staged. We had a what they call a split straight line. You had to hit 3 tabs on the left side, then veer over to the right and hit 2 more tabs. Once you come off of that, you had what we call a roadkill on the right steer. You had to get your steer tire as close to that cone as possible without hitting the cone. When you come off of that, you had to set yourself up for a left turn from the farthest rear axle on the trailer and get it as close there again to the cone. But now when you come off of that, you had a grease pit and you had to drive over these balls, and nothing on the underside of the equipment could touch the balls to knock them off in the grease pit. You drive straight across that and you end up at a railroad crossing, which is the minimum 15 to 50 feet. So you have to be as close to 15 feet without going over it to get your score.
So not only is this your TDC Grand Champion and Lesser Chairman's Award for his 3rd time in a row, Scott Woodrum, FedEx Freight.
Is what it is. There you go.
Alrighty, that was back in 2019 before we really had a big problem with COVID there, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah, it was kind of funny because they grabbed me. I was walking back inside. It was, I think it was Saturday morning. I did all my deal on Friday. He grabbed me and he goes, "Hey, man, would you do a quick video?" I said, "Sure. What do you want me to talk about?" He said, "I want you to explain the course." And that come right off the top of my head, and boom, there it was,
Yeah.
And then it shows up all over YouTube and everything. I'm like, oh, man. But
You're
nah,
famous.
it's awesome, man.
You're famous. So,
It's awesome.
so,
It's awesome.
so, Steve, before we bring Mark and Kathy on, tell me a little bit about how your week's gone so far, and just kind of give me a little bit about, your week last week working the TDC as a volunteer and not a competitor, because I know that you really in your heart you wanted to compete, but you had to do what you had to do because of certain circumstances.
Oh yeah. We had full plans of not even going up there because of other things that was going on, and those other plans got canceled. So I sent a text message and said, "Most certainly, we would love to have you." And I made a couple phone calls and got the ball rolling. And I went up Thursday and helped them set up all the pre-trip, moved a bunch of equipment around, built a wall in between the course and the pre-trip so nobody could see it. Had a good time. And but I got a call the week before, and from the VP of OTA, and she asked me, she said, "I know you're working the pre-trip, but I got another job for you." And I said, "What's that?" She said, "We need you to help Lee do the MCing, sit out on the course all day and talk about it." So that's what I did, and had a good time. We had the ATA truck up there. They had the simulator in it. People got to go over and drive the simulator and everything. That was cool.
That is a cool thing. The simulator. We got one here in Georgia with the MCCD officers, and got a new trailer. It's a $2 million trailer. It's got six simulators in it, and I got to experience it one day. I got in there and I drove the car, and actually got in an accident in the car on the simulator, and absolutely drove the truck better than I could the car. How about that one?
There it is. It is what it is. But yeah, man, we had some great weather both days. Had a little rain come in there Friday morning. They got a little bit of a late start, not bad, but made it through it. I mean, I think they said we had 250 drivers and 90 rookies. 90 or 95 rookies. Oh, yeah, it was awesome, man.
Awesome. The rookies, this is the year of the rookies, because we had 80-something in Georgia here. 86, I do believe. And
that's awesome.
Yeah. So, wow. So, yeah, the rookies are, and I noticed one thing. Some of the old faces that I was normally used to seeing, they're not there like they used to be, but I'm seeing new rookie faces,
Oh yeah, exactly. It makes you wonder where the veterans have gone to. Right. I think a lot of it, honestly, personally, I think the 2-year off with COVID and the first year back, I understood why a lot of people just said, now that everything's opened up, we're going to go out with the family and all that. I get it. I understand it. But why they haven't come back, I don't know. But maybe just take a little break. But no, I tell you what, man, it was a great weekend. We had some new winners this year in Ohio, and they're in for a ride. I'm telling you, they've never been to nationals. A couple of them never been to nationals. They are in for a wild ride. It is awesome.
All right. So I think that we're kind of running a little behind. We've belabored this a little bit, but let's go ahead and get Mark and Kathy in here, and let's talk to them about their story and everything that's got going on with the TDC there. So I'll bring them in on our music that we like to bring everybody in on. Okay,
that sounds good.
There we go.
Mark and Kathy Spencer, it's so good to have you here on Truckers Voices tonight, and it is a pleasure that you have carved out time for us on this show. I do apologize. It happens every now and then about the technical difficulties. Like 2 weeks ago, that one took me by surprise, but I'm working around it, and we're going to get this thing going like it's supposed to here in the near future.
It's a privilege just to be here with you guys.
Absolutely. So, tell us who you are, and tell us. Well, I just told everybody who you were, but tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and we'll just kind of jump into it from there.
All right. I'm Mark Spencer, and we're here in Akron, Ohio. I started my career in 1985, so long time ago.
Long time ago. All right. All right. Kathy?
Yes, I kind of rode along on his coattails. Started
Yeah.
going. He always supported him, of course, in trucking. We got married in 1983, and I've been helping him at TDC stuff since 2008.
I got you. I got you. Well, like I said, it's a pleasure to have you here, and I'm going to let Steve conduct most of the interview tonight. I'll jump in there some since Steve knows you guys, but let me go ahead and get some of this legal jargon out of the way. So the views expressed on the show are those of the host and guest only and do not reflect those of others. Almost forgot, Steve.
Can't forget that. Can't forget that. Just don't blame us, people. It ain't our fault.
It ain't our fault. That's right.
Nope.
So I had a great guest on last week, Mike Alpine out of I think it's Albuquerque. He won his respective state out there, and I think it was in the 5-axle class, and so it was good talking to Mike Alpine. So I guess this is TDC season. So our last several guests we've had on has been about mostly about the TDC. So let's just jump right onto it. So Steve, go ahead, and I'm going to do some adjusting back here, and I'll be right back with you. Okay.
Okay, sounds good. So Mark, just to kind of bring us up, you started trucking in 1985?
Yes, sir, I did. I started at Roadway in 1985, and then it was bought later and come YRC, and I spent a little over 37 years there.
37 years. I don't want to make you feel old, but I was a junior in high school in 1985.
And it was a good career. It really was.
Yes, sir. Now, was you city or was you Lino?
Well, the first 10 years of my career I spent on the dock and in the yard because I didn't have enough whiskers to go to the city anyways. And then after that, I worked into the city. I never did go line haul, but all the rest of the time was with the city then.
Right. I went straight to line haul when I started with AF back in 1996 because I was too lazy to get out and push freight around. So, but so now bring us up to current there. What you doing today?
Well, I retired a year ago, January. So when you do retire, you got to retire to something. So one thing we do is we do military shows, 14, 15 of them a year. I have a wood lathe that I've been turning some bowls with. And I have some bees. I got 7 hives now. I've got 7 hives of honeybees right now. And then I've started to learn how to work on the old vintage clocks.
Nice.
And we also have booths at 2 different antique malls in the area. So that keeps us busy, shopping for inventory for the booths and the military shows and all that stuff.
Of course. And then to top it all off, you stayed active in the TDC. And
that's something we really don't want to give up for a while yet. But it's been a part of I've been setting defects at the TDC for 25 years. So I've been in charge the last 10 years,
Quite a few.
maybe last 10 years of the pre-trip portion of it. But it's all been pre-trip for about 25 years.
Nice. And to go along with that, kind of elaborate a little bit on the yellow safety team that y'all had.
All right. Well, it started out as Roadway back in 1995, I believe it was, started a road team patterned after the ATA's road team. And I got into that and we got started with that. And the different events that I got to do over the years there, working with the Ohio State Highway Patrol, the Ohio Peace Officers Training Academy, the State Fair, as you've been down to help us many times. So
and by state fair, he means having a no zone exhibit where we would actually get people up in the seat of the truck and would have basically 4 lanes of interstate traffic laid out around the truck with state patrol vehicles strategically placed in the blind spots. So we really educated people on how to drive more safely around trucks.
I tell you what, now that was a cool exhibit. That was a cool exhibit. And Tim, I just got to tell you, I got to tell you folks out there, these folks right here, I met them, knew them from the TDC, and I asked them if I could come over and volunteer for a couple of days over at the fair, and I did that in 15. 16, I went back over and I carried my son over there, my youngest son. We had him, within an hour, he knew what we was doing, and he was helping people get in the truck and talking to them about the blind spots. So, I mean, we had a blast, and then I made the road team, and then we went over every year with the road team and everything. But you want to talk about a nice exhibit. That was nice, and he didn't see it leave, but it is what it is. So we'll see where it goes from there. But go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry.
I'd had the honor of being there for the very first time that we'd set up there as roadway, and then as YRC clear up till the very end. So it was good 25 years there doing that, getting to do that every year down at the state fairgrounds here in Ohio. So
that's awesome. And you, like you said, you went out to Opata, and you guys invited us out there. I carried a truck out there on disc brakes. Remember that? We went out there showing them all the disc brakes and everything.
And for anybody wants to know, OPATA stands for the Ohio Peace Officers Training Academy, and they would bring officers from all over the state into there for training. And so a number of times we had different companies. I'd just make phone calls to companies where we needed certain equipment and said, hey, can you come over and help us, whether it was at the State Patrol Academy or out there at the Ohio Peace Officers Training Academy. So when you're talking safety, it's not just not one group. It's everybody has to work together. And like Steve brought a tractor out there that had the disc brakes on, mechanic came with them, and it really worked well because it's showing that we can all work together.
That's right. No matter what company you're from.
No.
Exactly. I mean, I learned a long, long time ago the only difference between me and you is the name on our hat or the name on our shirt. We're out here doing the same thing, promoting safety, and make a living to pay the bills, put food on the table, and raise our family.
So Mark, I want to dive deep into a little bit of your career. Tell us a little bit about how you got into the trucking industry.
All right. Really, it goes way back because I always liked to drive, and I started first driving a church bus. So that was about 20 years old then, and I was able to drive church bus, and so I did that. And then when Kathy and I got married, I had just come home from the my Army training, and I wasn't making a lot of money on anything. And her dad drove for Jones Motor Freight at that time, and then he was getting into a couple of different places and got me into. They said, "Oh, you need to learn how to drive trucks." So I went to driver's training in I believe 84.
And it was interesting because my dad suggested to him, why don't you try truck driving since nothing else is working out? He said, well, I might as well. I got to, feed my wife somehow. So we scraped together a whopping sum of $1,000, which we did not have as newlyweds. And he went to truck driving school, got his CDL on that. And you know what driving schools cost today. But at that time, it was a lot of money for kids just starting out. And it's probably some of the best $1,000 we ever spent.
That's right. It's went a long ways, hasn't it?
Yeah, because the first paycheck, the first week I was working I'd making $11 and something an hour, and I thought, wow, this is big money. So back then it was.
Right. Wait, what year did you start that?
I started in
84.
84.
84. Okay. All right. I ain't
But
gonna
he-
tell you what I was doing in 84.
I was a sophomore in high school.
I was in middle school. Oh no, Steve, we're the same age.
Yeah, we're the same age. So he's 84.
Right. I didn't do good in math. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they give him an ELD, because he never could, add up his fault rate. So
That's right. I'm because of the ELD.
hell of this shot.
Hey, it did make it easier.
Hey, I love it. I remember when everybody was belly aching about the ELDs and all. You ask them today, they'll say they like it.
Yep.
Yeah.
They'll say they like it.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's just punch a couple buttons and sign off. You're done.
Yep.
I mean, I remember for 7 years out there on the road every night, pulling a truck stop, and you're sitting there for a half hour, 45 minutes, getting all your log done, getting your trip report done, getting your mileage and everything done. It's like, it's all in there now. You ain't got to worry about it. It's done.
That's right. That's right. So Mark, leading up to some of your jobs. So tell us a little bit about some of the trucking jobs that you had over the years.
Well, actually, I started at McLean as a casual, and then I went to Ryder and PIE as a casual, and then I got hired on at Roadway in 1985.
Okay.
And I spent my whole career at the same terminal.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And the funny thing with that too is where, like you mentioned before, my dad had worked for Jones Motor, which shut down after he'd been there 19 years. And then he went to Ryder PIE, which of course shut down. So when Mark got hired in at Roadway, we thought we had it made. We were never going to have a company, go up from under us like my parents had. And of course, you know how all that played out. But along the way, it was great.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Talking about the TDCs a little bit, Mark, did over the years you competed in the TDCs?
No, I never got a chance to compete because when I first started, I was a switcher or yard jockey, depends on whatever you called them at your company there. And at that time, you could, if you weren't out on the road, you couldn't compete. Well, I kept doing that, and we started improving on what we did on the defects. Because you figure 25 years ago, we had no tools to work with them. We had no idea what kind of equipment we were getting into until we got down there and whatever give us that what we had. And then we figured out what defects we were going to do then, not like it is now. So now it's all planned and good.
Right.
But as far as that is, the TDC's been something else, but I couldn't compete. And then when I could compete, I had a niche. One of the things was I was a safety trainer. And all my life, I've always tried to help other people out. I'd train them in the yard whenever they needed to get yard. I help them get their CDLs. And the TDC in the pre-trip to me is a training aid for everybody. Because if I could put stuff that we have actually seen on a vehicle on those trucks, you might not see it, but one of these days you might.
Right.
So, and everything we put on there, we've seen come through the gate.
Right. Right. Go ahead, Steve.
Oh, exactly. Now, was you guys setting up the pre-trip when Oprah had it?
Yes.
Okay.
Mike Hathaway and I were doing.
Okay. Because I know in 1999, my first year, who did I meet? Mike Hathaway.
Yeah.
Who took me under his wing and told me, I got this, I can do this, and everything. Mike Hathaway. And, and he told me, he says, it's like, what I owe you for this? He said, pass it on. That's all I want you to do, pay it forward. And I paid it forward, and y'all know the story with Tim in Livingston. And, it's just, like you said, anybody that I can get into the TDC, it makes you a better driver. It makes you concentrate. It makes you look, and specifically on your pre-trip part, you're right. It does. You don't put things on there that you don't see every day. I mean, somewhere in your career, you will see everything that shows up on that pre-trip. Now, you got to convince people though, when they find stuff, go get it fixed. Don't just walk by it.
Oh yeah, it's a defect, but we'll take care of it later, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, pass it on to my meat driver. It's like, what? But or just drop it in the yard and go. But so you guys was there, and then whenever Oprah stepped down and OTA took it back over, you guys just followed to OTA.
Yes, Gary Richard, because they put company reps in all at the head of all the different spots there, and Gary Richard was in for the pre-trip, and Mike told him, he said, I don't know how we're going to do this, and Mike said, I've got a guy there that'll help you out and won't let you down, and he put us in. So we started working with Gary Richard. He was from Pitt, Ohio, and you had us up there. We started working together at the IX Center, and then after the IX Center, we went up to Kalahari for our group.
So tell me a little bit about this year's pre-trip in Ohio. You guys set it up. If you can you divulge some of the defects?
Sure, we can this week. Last week we couldn't.
Yeah, I know last week you couldn't. No. So that's good that you're on here this week.
Well, first off, I want to say that all these years setting the defects and being in charge of it and everything, and working at a company, it would have been so easy to been able to give the answer to somebody to help them out. But there's a thing called integrity. And that's the biggest thing that I think we have going for us there. We have a wonderful pre-trip team. We have Amber and Eric Schimming, and those two are such a vital part to what we do. And now, if I tell you what's on there, you might say, wait a minute, you guys put that on there. Of course, like this year, we had some flat tires.
Mm-hmm.
We'll lose about 60 pounds of pressure out of them, so they're way below the amount. We had cracked lug nuts, the ring around the lug nut.
Right.
I found 2 of those while I was working. So we said, well, you know what? It's something we have found. We have pictures of units coming in with vice grips on either the airlines or on the push rods on the brake chambers. So we've used those. Loose lug nuts. We love loose lug nuts.
We put a teddy bear up on the dash for visual obstruction. Car plates will be on one of the pieces of equipment instead of the proper one. Expired fire extinguishers. And these are all things that are very actual, not just, we've heard where some states will put like a Post-it note on saying what it is, but we have actually, the fire suppression company near us, I went there a couple of years ago and asked for the stickers. And so we actually have the real on all these things.
Okay. All right.
I'm telling you, this pre-trip is Ohio. Let's just put it this way. The course, the pre-trip, the test is so close to nationals. You think you're there at nationals. I mean, and their pre-trip, I've had people ask me, so you're helping with the pre-trip? Yep. Helping with the pre-trip.
I'm going to go on mute. I'll be right back. Okay.
Okay. But I've had people say, well, how come you don't win it every year? I said, because they don't do the same defects every year. They come up with new defects. And I said, and especially the rookies. When I work with the rookies, I tell them on the pre-trip, I just break the truck down like Tom Hawks does in zones. And I just tell them, in this zone here, this is everything that you could find. And one of our rookies looked at me when I got done, and she said, you just named like 1,000 things on this truck. How am I supposed to remember that? I said, it's not a fact that you have to remember it. It's a fact you have to look at it. You'll see it. That's the thing. You guys don't put tape on stuff and say, broken axle here or something like that. We see the actual defects, and I mean it's awesome. And I appreciate the opportunity of being able to come up and help.
We've had other safety men come up to us and say, "Hey, we had a problem." Like one of them was your reflective tape on your mud flaps. He said, "Is there any way you can do something to where that could happen?" He says, "We've got dinged on it a couple times." So you got a black mud flap, you cover that with black duct tape, and what do you got? You got a black mud flap there.
Right.
So, things like that. Here's a good one for you, Tim. How hard would it be for you to find a weld?
That would be a hard one for me to find, because it would be probably black and the same color as the underside, right?
Nope. But it's just an old weld that we made that we put right on the magnets. Work great on the frame, but and you can tell it wasn't done by a professional. So
I got you. Well, you're talking about the mud flaps and all. One thing that got a lot of people in Georgia this year was we had fifth wheel was unlatched, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you go up underneath or check it, that's the first thing that the guys see. All right. But what they did not look for, the reflective tape on the mud flaps on the tractor there. They put white on one side and then red, white, like it's supposed to be on the other side. I caught both of them. I made a 70 on my pre-trip this year in Georgia. So I did pretty doggone good, 7 out of 10.
We have other things we've done. We've made high hooks.
Right.
We've fixed it to where we would close the jaws and then back it under a trailer. The arm is in, but is it hooked?
Right.
I had a safety guy one time. I was hooking a unit and moving it, and one of the things I did, I just looked at the arm and I moved the thing, and sure nothing happened. But he said, if you'd have dropped the trailer. I said, well, I looked. He said, no, you didn't look. I said, yeah, I did. He said, no, you looked at the arm. You never looked underneath there.
Right.
From that day forward, every time I hooked that thing, I got underneath there and looked at the jaws. So that's important for everybody to do, is look at those jaws.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know that every year you got to kind of brainstorm, and you probably got to think, okay, what did we do last year and what can we do better this year? Do you find that to be a problem from year to year?
Well, we have a list of over 100 different defects we could use.
Gotcha.
But like I said about Eric and Amber Shimming, we'll get together a number of times throughout the year and we'll talk about it.
In fact, we've already started talking about next year already. So, and one thing they tried to do too is we have 15 defects each driver has to find, 5 majors and 10 minors.
Okay.
For a total score of 100 points on the test. And we try to get a mixture of a little bit easier ones that, a rookie can find and not be discouraged about it and make him want to come back. But then we also have to have more challenging ones for ones like Scott, who have, competed for a long time. Mm-hmm. So we try to have a nice balance. There's something for everybody. And it's surprising because even with ones that we think might be a little bit easier or more obvious, nerves are so chaotic on that day, and with the stopwatch at everybody's time too, that sometimes you overlook those obvious things.
Right. So, I remember one year doing a pre-trip, and I was naming them left and right, and I was doing it, and I was like, why isn't this guy acknowledging, that I'm naming them? When I walked away from there, normally they say, hey, good job, driver, right? They didn't say anything to me that year. And when I got about halfway from where I was going, I didn't call defect.
Oh no.
Yes.
I had a driver come up and tell me the same story here the other day when we were there. And he said that the guy told him, he said, you found every one of the defects, but he got a big 0.
Didn't call defect.
And he goes, I was in 4th. I ended up as 4th place. but he had 0 for the pre-trip. And just think where 100 points could have put him.
That's right. That's
Wow.
right.
But he said he'll never forget that. The word defect is very important.
It's very important. Yep. Go ahead, Steve.
You know, and something else they started at Nationals last year, and y'all talked about it in our orientation up there, is, you know, because this is what I tell people, your eyes are running 150 mile an hour, your brain's running 200 plus mile an hour, and in the back of your head, you hear this tick, 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 you know, and you're trying to remember what to look for, everything to look for. You know, I just tell people, if it looks broke, call it a defect. You know, you can't get dinged for something that's not a defect and you call it, but if it is a defect and you don't call it, you're going to get a ding on it. But like y'all talked about, and they started at Nationals last year, because people will get confused. You can't spit the word out. So you got to point to it and get as close to a description as possible, so the judge knows what you're talking about, or at least point to it, you know, because they don't want you wasting all them seconds, because seconds turn into minutes, and then next thing you know, you run out of time and you're at the back of the trailer and you only got half the truck done. So, I mean, it's like I said, I cannot brag on Ohio enough, the professionalism that goes into this thing. And the professionalism that you know, your small team that y'all got. I love working with y'all. This is twice now. I think I've worked with y'all. I worked with y'all in 18 and now. Just the organization and the professionalism in setting these trucks up, tearing these trucks down, and getting them ready to go again is awesome.
You know, there's another group that we really have that doesn't get enough praise too, is our judges. And the judges for the pre-trip are all Ohio State Highway Patrol and the Public Utility Commission of Ohio. So your PUCO and your patrol are our judges. That way we have people too that are
totally impartial.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That way you don't have, you know, while your buddy's coming up and something that you guys did with me in 18, because we had troopers and stuff that had to leave and couldn't come back on Saturday. You was short a little help, so y'all give me a time stopwatch, and it didn't matter if it was a FedEx driver or not. All I'm doing is taking time. I'm not writing on the paper. That trooper is the judge. So, like you said, he's very impartial. He doesn't know you. He's just giving you the score that you found. That's all it's doing.
Right. And we've been very blessed also. We have a core group of volunteers that have been with us for years. So that makes a world of difference too, that we have trained people who love coming back. It's like, you know, a homecoming. We all get together for this. So that's made a big difference too.
And then she takes care of all the paperwork. She's in charge of all the paperwork for the pre-trip. So yes, she's right there with us. I mean, she's got a core group there of women that work with her every year. We've had good help this year, and we had Mike St. Clair with us. He worked real good. He was on one of your shows.
Yep.
And we had Dale O'Brien. We had a real good group, didn't we?
Yes. Very, very professional, very organized. And I can't stress enough. I can't speak for every other state out there. I've been to a couple other states and seen their competition, and they do a good competition. Don't get me wrong, but you guys will not put anything on that truck that you don't see out here on the interstate, or you could see on the interstate. So, I mean, that's the big thing. And like you said, that's your time in safety. You taught safety. You care about safety.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I've talked to drivers already this week, and especially the rookies. I've talked to a couple of rookies, and they said the stuff I just learned, you know, and I just want to say something. Everybody says, well, how do I do a pre-trip? What's what you do every day? Not really, because these are planted. You should know what to look for, but you're doing this under a time frame. When, you know, like me, I got 30 minutes to hook a set and check everything out and then roll. So, you know, I've got extra time and stuff. But basically, it is what you do every day because you should be checking all this stuff. You should be checking the brakes. You should be checking the travel and everything. You got to look at this stuff.
That's right. That's right.
But to get ready for next year, you need to start today.
That's right. Exactly.
And like you were saying there, if you keep looking at everything, when something isn't right, it'll pop out at you.
Yeah.
And that helps too.
Yes.
So we had Herschel Evans last year come that he was up there. He had the ATA truck there, and he looked at me. He goes, "Hey," he said, "can I do a pre-trip over here?" I said, "Sure, come on over." We had a set of twins over there, and we let him do it over there. He got done, said, "That's good." So coming from him, that meant a lot to me. So
Mark, I got a message, a text come from Bill Krause, and Bill Krause says, "Tell Mark the exhibit they had at the fair each year was well known all over the country at Yellow Terminals. They did a great job for many years on it, and it was sad to see it go. Tell him I started the same year as him, but at Yellow in 1985, 38 years."
Wow.
Yep. So that was from Bill Krause. So Bill, if you're listening, I got the message across there to him. So I think Bill's listening tonight.
Well, thank you very much.
Yep. So let's go ahead and let's continue with the conversation. Go ahead, Steve, and I'm going to open up the phone line. So if somebody calls in, we'll just butt right in and take a phone call. How about that?
Okay, cool.
Go ahead.
Elaborate a little bit about your beehives. You was kind of telling me that and showing me some video this weekend. Let's just get totally away from trucking and check that out. And by the way, anybody who wants our honey, get a hold of them because I got a jar out there that, it's good.
Well, I had 3 of them that I overwintered through the winter, so I kept them all alive. 2 of them swarmed, so that took me up to 5 hives, and then I've caught 2 other ones. So I'm up to 7 hives now. So hopefully I can keep all these this year. So, but it's a relaxing hobby. I know you're going to say, "Wait a minute, that can't be relaxing," but it is. It really is relaxing, and bees are something to watch. They just work and they work and they work, and it's just amazing.
Okay.
I've got you on here to the listening audience. I got the phone lines open right now. So if you want to call the show tonight and talk to Mark or Kathy you can call at 251-616-2151. That's 251-616-2151. We would love to have you call in tonight. If you got a question to ask or if you just got a comment in general, please call the show. I'm fixing to put it in the chat also.
Awesome.
Yep.
I forgot what I was going to ask now.
No, not Steve.
Yeah, exactly. Back on the bees. How do you keep from getting stung all over the place?
I do have a jacket that I wear
And
a veil because there's been cases where people have got stung in the eye. I don't want to take a chance of that, so I will at least always have a veil on.
Okay.
And then I'll put those nitrile gloves on too. And the bees will land on there, but they won't do anything with it. I've been stung through them if my 2 fingers go together, but
right,
they're just pretty good there.
Good.
All right, so I've got it in the chat, and I've got it on the screen there. So if anybody wants to call in, that's fine. That's 251-616-2151. How many more years, Mark, do you see yourself doing this?
Well, I've always said that he will go there and if he has to crawl to get there someday. So probably whenever God calls him home.
Only time will tell, though.
Right, you'll know when it's time to pass the torch, right?
Yes, and Eric and Amber will be taking that whenever I'm done with it. So we've been working with Eric, and training him, and he just does a phenomenal job, and Amber works with us, and she does a phenomenal job. So it will be in good hands whenever we're done. It's like when I'm tired, it was like, man, I want to keep working. Okay, time to go.
Time to go. That's right.
So
that's right. Well, that is absolutely awesome, and I know it takes a lot of work to put these TDCs on. And I mean, everything from the course to the written test to the pre-trip, everybody has to work in tandem together
Yes.
to make it successful. So it seems like you guys up there, with the OTA and everybody involved there does a great job. And I can only speak for Georgia here. Georgia does a good job. Emily, they do a good job here in Georgia also. But I'm looking forward to seeing what the end results of all these TDCs are, and who all's going to be at nationals and everything else. Now, do you guys go and work nationals also?
We have once in a while we'll go. It depends on schedules and everything too, but we have worked a couple of the nationals. So who knows what'll happen this year? It's in Indianapolis, I believe, this year.
It is,
Right. Yeah.
That wasn't us, was it? I thought it was somebody else's phone.
That wasn't my phone. My phone don't do that. I thought it was you.
No,
Thought
this
turned down.
this podcast phone, it makes a little bit different sound there. So, so Kathy, sometimes when you guys are getting ready to do the pre-trips and all that, do you guys ever have any disagreements about defects or anything like that, or anything? I mean,
Yeah, actually, we don't. Whether it was back when it was just the two of us working with Mike Hathaway, or when we had Gary Richard from Pitt, Ohio, or now with the Shimmings, there really isn't any disagreements.
No.
Everybody kind of thinks with one mind. So
Gotcha.
we're very blessed with that again too. I want to do a plug for the Ohio TDC for any drivers out there that might be listening and have never jumped in and done this before. You have to have a year safe driving with your one company. And when you do go up there, it's held at Kalahari Indoor Water Park, and each room comes with 4 water park tickets. So it's become quite the family event to bring the kids and the grandkids along. So you have all that family support and
Now-
also to play in the water park.
I'm going to break in. Let's take this call here.
Already.
Welcome to Truckers Voices, Mr. Ben Atkinson. How you doing, sir?
Great, guys. How y'all doing tonight?
We're awesome. We're awesome. Can everybody hear Ben?
Yes.
Yes.
Sure.
Ben, can you
Hello.
hear them, Ben?
Yes, sir. Sure can. Hey, every week I learn something new. I got mine TDC coming up in Florida. I'm taking notes. You know what I mean? So keep on coming. So that's fantastic. I too started with Consolidated Freightways. Thought I was going to be there forever. After 15 years, it disappeared, and now I'm an ABF guy for 20 years. But what it's done for me, the TDCs and Truck Driving Championship, and I hear you guys talk about it, and maybe we don't say it enough, but it brings your family together. It's a larger family than just your immediate family. The camaraderie and the fun and the fellowship, and that's been great for me.
Absolutely. And Ben, got any questions for Mark or Kathy about the pre-trip?
Well, that used to be my nemesis there, but I like what they stated. Everything they put on there, they've seen before.
Right.
Yes.
Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah. So we don't want to make something up. It's something that has been we've seen on the road, and if it's possible for us to make it. I mean, I'm not going to put a cracked brake drum on a truck. I wish I could, but we can't.
Right.
But that to me, the way to go is to make it to where it's real.
Right.
And it's something we should see every day in our everyday pre-trip.
Yes.
I've heard it called people, like an Easter egg hunt or anything like that, but it's really not. It's not an Easter egg hunt. It's absolutely defects that we've seen. I had a defect. I had a practice not too long ago, and we had the shop help us out. And we loosened up some of the bolts on the pintle hook on the back of the trailer. Everybody missed it, including this guy right here. So,
but
I had a driver report that a cotter key was out of the bolt up underneath the fifth wheel. And, you see the first bolt in the cotter key, but you don't really get to see all the way underneath the fifth wheel. And he called it. I'm like, that's a good deal. So, that saved him a headache.
Right. Go ahead, Mark.
I want to throw out some kudos to all the spouses of all the drivers, because without the support of the family, it'd be impossible for the drivers to do what they do there, let alone being out on the road. So the family is what this is.
My wife is so excited to go back.
Say again, Ben.
My wife is just as excited to me to go back to Daytona every year. That's the same week as our wedding anniversary. And I always say I'm doing it for the wedding anniversary, but she's always excited to go to Daytona here in Florida. And I took her to Nationals last year and she enjoyed that. And she goes, well, you need to win so you can go to Nationals and we can go. So there's no pressure. You know what I mean?
No,
not at all.
Yeah, no pressure at all.
So you
just take deep.
Go ahead, Mark.
Just take deep breaths.
There you go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So Ben, you can celebrate your anniversary there in Daytona, and then you can go ahead and win that, and then have a honeymoon there in Indiana, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, that's exactly what we'll do. But anyway, hey, Tim, always a good show. Steve, y'all have a great day, and see you on the street.
All right, Ben. Take care, man.
Thanks.
Well, as much as I hate to say it, and the technical difficulties that we had, we're coming up on 1 hour of the show being done.
That went fast.
It went fast, didn't it?
Yes.
But I do appreciate Mark, you and Kathy coming on and sharing your story, and it's always a pleasure. And we'll have to have you back in the future. How about next year around TDC time?
That'd be good. We do put big push for it then.
That's right. And I'm like I said, I do apologize. What happened a couple of weeks ago was just beyond my control, and we're still figuring it out.
It'll
good old technology.
Well, Steve, let's go ahead and get ready to post-trip the show. And so anything else you got, Steve?
Kathy, I just got one question for you. Mark just brought up about the family and spouses and everything. And I know you wouldn't do this if you didn't love doing it, but how is your feelings over the years of doing all this in support of Mark and everything?
Well, where he started in the mid-90s, our two sons were still young and at home. And so I didn't go with him the first few years. And he'd come home talking about this rodeo thing. I couldn't figure out what he was talking about. I had no idea. And then when our boys were up and I was free to be on the road with Mark and his safety events and stuff, first year I went was 2008, and I just fell in love with it the first time I was there, with the sense of family, and didn't matter what company you were. And I was like, why didn't I do this years ago? What have I been missing all the time? So I haven't missed a year since then. And
it is a family.
It is family. For sure.
It is. It is. It's and some of the drivers and drivers' wives, drivers' families, you only see them once a year, and that's at Kalahari every year. And and like you said, Kathy, you give what all we do up there, and it's family time as well as competition time.
Yes.
And I've noticed it in the past, but I did notice it a lot this year, having the mic in my hand, talking about the drivers and stuff like that. There ain't nothing better than a 5 to 7, maybe a 10-year-old child stand there and says, as their dad's on the course, turn left, turn left, turn left, turn left. You got to now go back right, and it's like this young person knows just as much as we do.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, we had my young son out helping us. He was actually setting the pre-trips up, and he stopped me and Scott a couple times. And you know where he got it from? He got it from you guys. He got it from you guys, because back when you would send our score sheets to our companies, I'd bring it home and he's looking at it. And I caught him one day when he's going over to practice. I said, "Get your pre-trip stuff ready." He come in here in the office and got in the file cabinet and got all my pre-trip stuff. And he started picking a little bit of stuff here and there and just kind of combined a bunch of stuff together and put 15 defects out there on the truck. And I'm like, really a monster. But
I want to add one thing to that. One reason we gave the pre-trip scores out like that was because of the fact, how can somebody learn if they don't know what they missed?
That's right.
Exactly.
And if I'm trying to help them to get better at what they do, they got to know what they missed.
That's exactly right.
Exactly. Well, looking like we're coming up on the end of the show, so I just want to say thank y'all. Appreciate it. Appreciate
Thanks
you
for
coming
having
on.
Thanks for having us.
Yep.
So, Mark and Kathy, we always have a word of advice and safety from everybody at the end of the show. So I'm going to give the floor to you for a word of advice and safety.
You got something?
We should borrow what Steve says.
No.
I've kind of picked that up. The most important trip of the day is that trip home to your family.
Exactly.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank y'all for coming on.
But before you leave,
Yes,
the most important thing is your pre-trip.
that's right. And before you leave, that's right. That's right. And don't leave some junk for somebody else to fix.
That's
Do your
right.
post trip, right?
Amen.
Amen.
All right, Steve. Word of advice. They done took your tagline, so you can't use that. and you can't use mine either, Steve.
See what you do to me? No, I appreciate it. Appreciate y'all coming on. Appreciate everybody out there listening to us.
Right.
I just gotta say, everybody slow down and be safe. And we're coming up on a holiday weekend. That traffic's getting heavy. Man, roll out that throttle, boys and girls. Roll out that throttle. You don't push it. Please don't push it. I've been watching it for 2 days. These guys trying to push it down the road. Just relax. Everybody be safe, because that most important trip is a trip home.
That's right. That's right. All right, listening audience, we appreciate y'all tuning in tonight. Some of you come, some of you went. Some of you will be listening to the replay. And so on the replay, we appreciate that you're listening. So anyway, y'all have a good weekend, a good Memorial Day. And as I always say, y'all look out for those who aren't looking out for themselves. We'll see you right here next week on Truckers Voices TV.